In chapter 1155, Oda completely shattered all expectations and dropped a bombshell that no fan, no matter how wild their imagination, could have predicted. Rox D. Zebeck himself, the pirate who's become almost mythical, brazenly invades Mariejois and stands face to face with the single most mysterious and terrifying figure in the world, Imu-sama. And he doesn't just stand there, he threatens her, vowing to return one day. Not even Roger, the man who conquered the seas and earned the title of Pirate King, nor the legendary Joy Boy who carried the hope of liberation, dared to set foot on that sacred land. The narrator frames Rox's act as a first, and so far, the only moment in history where a pirate directly challenged the heart of the world government. And this speaks to a goal far beyond treasure or fame, a desire to rule the entire world itself. But here's the question that really blows everyone's mind. How did Rox even know about Imu-sama in the first place? That secret is known only to the absolute elite within the world government. Did Rox somehow uncover pages of the forbidden history? Or was there another force, a hidden entity, that whispered the truth to him? These questions crack open brand new doors in the legend of One Piece and keep us dying to know what comes next. In this deep dive, we're going to unravel what might be the most controversial and spine-chilling point of the entire chapter, the mysterious bond that may have once existed between Rox D. Zebeck and Imu-sama. Think about it. It's almost impossible to believe that a pirate like Rox, someone portrayed as the most dangerous rebel of his era, could sneak right into the heart of Mariejois, and not just anywhere, but into the flower room itself, Imu's private sanctuary, a place so secret that not even the Gorosei themselves set foot there, the only exception being that maid who turned out to be Gumko. And what's even crazier? Imu greeted Rox with an eerie calm, almost suspiciously cold, as if he wasn't a threat to her throne, but rather someone familiar, someone she'd seen in the shadows of power before. The contrast becomes even starker when you remember how Imu reacted to Sabo sneaking into the Room of Thrones during the Reverie arc. She bared her fangs instantly, showing her terrifying true face without hesitation, making it crystal clear that just approaching her secrets was enough to trigger her wrath. But with Rox, the mood completely flipped. She spoke to him with a measured calm that felt more like she was addressing one of the Gorosei themselves, hinting at a shared past still buried in mystery. And maybe, here's the craziest part, Rox might once have been part of the very system he vowed to destroy. Perhaps he worked in the shadows directly under Imu's command, or even grew up within the walls of Mariejois before rebelling against everything it stood for. It's hauntingly similar to what we see today with his son, Teach. Blackbeard infiltrated Whitebeard's crew, served under him for years, and then turned on him at the perfect moment. So what if Rox had done the exact same thing, but with Imu? And think about this. Rox leaving Mariejois alive, despite the Navy, the Holy Knights, and all its defenses, raises a serious question. Did he know the hidden passageways and secret routes so well that he could slip in and out undetected? Had he walked those halls long before that infamous confrontation? But the real game changer in this chapter? That moment when Rox drops the name of the legendary pirate Davy Jones right in front of Imu. Her expression shifts instantly. That composed mask cracks, and we see genuine shock, maybe even fear. It's like that name awakened a memory she'd buried deep, or a threat she never thought would resurface. Maybe Rox came there not just to threaten her, but to confirm something with his own eyes. Was Davy Jones truly a danger to her throne in the past? And Imu's answer needn't words. That single look said it all, proving beyond doubt that the name Davy Jones holds a chilling weight in Imu's heart, and leaving us desperate to know why. But what if the truth goes way deeper than we ever imagined? Picture this. What if Rox D. Zebeck himself was once the wielder of the Opi Opi no Mi long before law? And not only that, what if he was also an incredibly skilled doctor, working right at the heart of Mariejois, so close to Imu-sama that he actually became her personal physician? We all know Imu-sama almost never appears in public.
and there are hints sprinkled throughout the story that she might be suffering from some mysterious illness, or maybe she just can't withstand sunlight, which could explain why she's been desperately searching for a new body, like we saw when she tried to kidnap Vivi to use her as a vessel. Now, put that together with the fact that Rox seemed to know so many ancient secrets, and that Imu didn't look genuinely shocked when he appeared in the flower room. It starts to paint a picture. Maybe Rox had a long history within the very walls of the world government. And here's the kicker. Maybe he wasn't just some intruder who forced his way in, but was actually officially appointed as Imu's doctor because of his rare devil fruit powers, all while secretly waiting for the perfect moment to turn against them from the inside. And here's where an even bigger question emerges. Could Davy Jones actually have been the true name of Joy Boy himself? Believe it or not, there are hints that support this possibility. But before we dive into those details, let's take a step back and look at what's crystal clear. Rox D. Zebeck knew a lot about the ancient history and the secrets of the Void Century, despite the fact that, unlike Roger, he was never known to chase after the poneglyphs or the One Piece itself. And that opens up a huge mystery. Where did Rox get that knowledge? Maybe he really did live in Mariejois at some point. Or maybe, at one time, he was even part of the Holy Knights, as part of a bigger plan to climb to power from within. Now, some of you might be thinking, wait, if he was a Holy Knight, wouldn't he have had the mark, and couldn't Imu have killed him instantly? But here's the twist. We also know that Garling and even Shanks have that mark, and yet Imu can't fully control them, which tells us there's way more complexity here than we might think. The sheer depth of Rox's knowledge about the Void Century, Imu, and even Davy Jones hints that his connection to Mariejois wasn't just superficial. He may have actually lived there or worked within its walls, especially when you consider that the only known source of information about the Void Century is the poneglyphs. Yet, Rox never seemed to care about them. So how did he learn all this? These questions force us to realize that Rox's appearance in the flower room wasn't just the act of a reckless pirate, but part of a story far deeper and darker than we've seen on the surface. Now, when it comes to the figure of Davy Jones, every clue seems to point toward a direct connection with the Void Century. Rox's admiration for him didn't just come out of nowhere. More likely, Davy Jones was actually his role model, because back in the day, Davy Jones also opposed Imu-sama's rule and aimed to conquer the entire world himself. And think back to what that ancient robot said on Egghead Island. It literally apologized to Joy Boy saying, "I'm sorry I couldn't make you the king of the world." That line clearly shows that Joy Boy, just like Rox, had once dreamed of ruling the world, but failed. And then Rox, following in his footsteps, tried the same thing, and also failed. Now, here's where things get really wild. We know that the legendary pirate Davy Jones was the original creator of the pirate game we now call the Davy Backfight. So imagine this crazy possibility. What if Roger's famous laugh at Raftel came from discovering the truth about that game? It actually makes sense. Why else would Roger burst into laughter at such a serious, world-changing moment unless he realized that Joy Boy himself had invented what seems like a silly pirate game? In other words, what if Joy Boy was actually Davy Jones all along, and he created the Davy Backfight as a clever, non-violent way to gather more powerful crewmates into his fleet to challenge the world government? But in the end, his downfall mirrored that of Rox D. Zebeck. The crew he assembled didn't share his deep conviction, nor did they possess the unwavering loyalty we see in the Straw Hats toward Luffy. And so the same tragedy repeated across the ages, a grand dream that couldn't survive betrayal and a lack of shared belief, showing us just how rare and powerful true unity really is. But this analysis also opens the door to another equally mind-blowing possibility. What if Davy Jones himself was once part of Joy Boy's crew during that long-lost era? And what if, considering the myths surrounding his name and the legend of the sunken ship, he was actually a fishman? Now imagine what might have happened next. At some crucial turning point, Davy Jones betrayed Joy Boy, or maybe he was Joy Boy's greatest rival back in that chaotic age. And here's the real twist. Imu-sama, with her cold cunning, could have exploited Davy Jones, turning him against Joy Boy during the final decisive war that shifted the entire balance of power in her favor. And this theory would perfectly explain why Imu's expression changed so sharply when Rox mentioned the name Davy Jones. That single name might have brought back the memory of a betrayal, or of the critical moment when Davy Jones helped her crush the only real threat to her throne. In this light, Davy Jones becomes a symbol with a double edge. On the one hand, his name is tied to freedom, and the Davy Backfight, a game meant to unite pirate crews without bloodshed. But on the other hand, he might have also been directly responsible for Joy Boy's downfall and the collapse of his dream to rule the world. And maybe, just maybe, that's the shocking truth Roger discovered at Raftel. The truth that made him laugh. A truth where Davy Jones isn't just a legendary name whispered among pirates, but a tragic figure whose betrayal changed the course of history forever, and whose memory still lingers in Imu's heart like an old unhealed wound.